What's going on? What's going on? We are here live. Thank you guys. We are at 79th Street Barbecue. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. That's what I'm talking about. We need that. Yes, yes. Scream, say woo. Yeah. I'm loving that. I love the energy from the young people. So this is the Ownership Club with Intellectual Radio, and I got my esteemed co-host, Mr. Raymond Batts. How you doing, sir?
I am doing amazing. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well, doing very well. And we have an amazing guest today. We have an amazing individual who specializes in property taxes. So if you are an owner, a homeowner, this is somebody that you definitely want to get into with. Hello, Miss Danny Winston.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am amazing.
This is your second event today, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
So Danny, can we call you Danny or Danielle? Which
Danny
one?
is great.
Danny is great. So Danny, what led you to be a part or to be in the industry of property taxes?
My career with the Cook County Board of Review
Okay.
under Commissioner Larry Rogers of the 3rd District.
Okay.
I'm also a paralegal for 23 years.
Talk that.
Most of the time, that's all I've dealt with is property tax assessments and appeals.
So when someone says, why is my property taxes going down? I own a home. I live in this city or this state of Illinois. What actually goes into the assessment of property taxes?
Your assessor.
Is that an individual?
No, but seriously, it's who you vote into office.
Wow.
For example, if you haven't read the Tribune, the assessor of Cook County has let $444 million worth of taxes slide for commercial properties and some friends and family. So that's $444 million that could have been in to Cook County, and instead we reassessed our south suburbs and we skyrocketed their property taxes, which is unfair because if they were to sell their homes today, their house would not be worth what the assessor has assessed them to be.
Wow. So one individual is in charge of all of that.
One individual who has multiples working under him. Yes.
So there's no checks and balances, is basically what you're saying.
It's really no checks and balances. It's who you vote into office. Number one, I tell people all the time, you have to vote, and don't vote off of the name, the familiar name. You have to do your background checks on people. So the Board of Review is a different entity from the assessor. At this point, if your property taxes have risen and you have a tax bill, all you can do at this point is pay your property tax bill. Every 3 years, you are reassessed on your property taxes, and guarantee every 3 years, that 3rd year, your assessor is going to raise your property taxes. It's a money thing. Okay.
And how powerful is that from an ownership standpoint?
Well, when you're talking about ownership, as far as ownership residential or ownership commercial,
Break down both.
Different entities.
Break down both.
So the standpoint from an ownership residential, you're screwed. It's nothing you can do. You can the following year, well, right now, this year, you can file an appeal with the Cook County Board of Review, and you can seek a reduction, which will show on your property taxes for next year. That's the only thing you can do at this standpoint for a residential person. And I encourage everyone to, like, next year is City of Chicago. It's going to be a lot of angry City of Chicago people because they are reassessed next year and their property taxes they're saying that theirs are going to quadruple from where they're at this point. What their property tax is going to be next year has nothing on what the suburban increase was. The best thing that they can do, and the people that have already gotten a property tax bill, is to file an appeal. You can go online and do that with the Cook County Board of Review, and I also encourage to file an appeal with the Cook County Assessor if your township is still open. Okay. As far as commercial is where the revenue is, according to county and state. So their their taxes are not always rated on the residential side. And I don't want to speak too much into politics, but most of the time it's a scratch and rub. Okay. Business owners, you bringing in business, to that community. Of course, your property taxes are gonna not be as much because you're bringing in revenue. Understand that. But as far as residential, they have options at this point, especially for the city of Chicago.
Well, I've noticed that there's a substantial difference between property taxes and property tax increases for city of Chicago residents versus surrounding suburbs. Why is that?
So it used to be like that. It's not going to be like that. And you will see that next year when the city of Chicago is screaming and shouting about their new tax bill. But it was like that because it wasn't as many businesses. It just depends on the suburban area. See, Cook County is set up in 38 different townships, and then it's different districts. You have the southern district, that's the south suburbs. You have the west, that's the west suburbs. Then you have Chicago, West Chicago, North Chicago. Um, in the city of Chicago, we also have a Lake Township, a High Park, etc. So it goes according really to the townships, and the businesses that is in that township or that area. So if, let's say, for instance, Calumet City has all these different surrounding businesses in this area, what the assessor tries to do is let me try to
reallocate.
Kind of. But because the businesses are bringing in revenue, it will help with your property taxes. So if they have money coming in, they're not seeking the money from your house or your house or your house. So it's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Shall I say? Yeah.
I mean, I think, and this is as coming from a homeowner and an investor standpoint, I love to see when my taxes go up, because unfortunately, the first thing I think, my tenants got to pay more rent.
Do your tenants want to pay more rent?
I don't want to pay more property taxes, but that is one of those. It's a necessary evil. You can't have one without the other. So even if I was renting from someone, and if my rent was, okay, say $800, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, and they got their taxes assessed, and now they want to charge me $1,100. Now, 9 times out of 10, my income did not go up, but the way my mind thinks, okay, you know what? I need to become a real estate owner, because they can dictate my rent. Meaning, when you sign that lease for typically a lease is for 1 year, right? 12 months. And after that, you get the automatic renew. Now, if everyone's rent is going up, that's a good thing, because that means my rent going up, my next neighbor rent's going up, my other neighbor's going up. Probably everyone in my area rent is going up. So now when I reassess the property, when I go to the bank and do a reassessment of the property, one or two things are going to happen. Either the value is going to be up or down. Now, from a tenant standpoint, that's going to make me want to become a real estate investor, because I know I can't dictate the market. So that means it doesn't matter where I live. That's going to go on forever. So whether if I live in Cook County, if I live in Ogle County, if I live in DePage, DePaul, you know what? Let me put myself in a position so I dictate the market, instead of I'm on the back end of it, to where, when your tenants say, hey, I want you to live here for the next 5 years, but your rent is going to go up $75 every month. I have amazing tenants, but unfortunately, they pay the cost of upkeep of the property.
But it's not that simple, because if you look at it, I have associates whose mortgages have
Speak up a little bit louder.
I have associates whose mortgages have went from 800 to 1,700 due to an increase in property taxes. Now, if you have a tenant that's paying $1,000, do you think that they're going to stay in your property if you want to increase it to another 700?
Okay, so is this commercial or residential?
This is residential.
Residential.
Mhm.
So assuming that we're talking about not per diem, we're talking about wages, right? So from 8 to 1,700, 9 times out of 10, that number is across the board. So I give you an example. What my tenants pay now, they didn't pay 4 years ago.
Mhm.
So the amount of money that they made 4 years ago is not the money they're making now.
How do you know that?
Because the market dictates that.
But the market dictates that, but does their company dictate that?
It's
People
all-
don't get raises like that. Like, what companies do you know that's going to increase your wages in 4 years by that much?
Okay, I'll give you another example. So with that, let's just name an industry. Name any industry. Education, real estate, any industry.
Ooh, okay, we could take education.
Education.
They're underpaid.
Okay. So do you think that teachers get paid more now than they did 10 years ago coming out of college?
You said 4 years.
Well, 4 years ago.
No,
You think they get paid more or less?
like 25 cents more probably per dollar.
Okay. So do you think, based upon the market that we are in right now, a lot of my clients who are deans, assistant principals, they're making between 80,000 and 6 figures.
And more than likely, they're not renters, they're homeowners.
I'm glad you said that. So the amount of money you make does not dictate if you're a homeowner or not. That just means how much money you spend more than you keep. Because I know individuals that work at Walmart that are homeowners.
Mhm.
Would you assume that most rents are more than a mortgage?
Yeah.
Would you assume that?
Mhm.
So if you assume that, why would you want to rent?
Because some people don't know the programs that's out here for them.
So now
they don't have the knowledge.
So now that's an educational thing, right?
Exactly.
Whose fault is that?
It's theirs for not getting the knowledge. It's yours for not spreading it.
So that's why we hear on the radio. So most people, this is the sad part about mortgages, and we all know this. You will always pay more in a renter situation than a mortgage. So
Yeah.
let's just say that same person that went from 800 to 1,700.
Mhm.
Now, let's just say the owner of that property, the value of that property when it was 800, it was 120,000.
Mhm.
When you take that tax bill to that bank,
Mhm.
when they reassess that value of that property, what's the first thing that business owner can do? Pull the equity out,
Mhm.
right? And when you pull the equity out, it's based upon what? The current value of the property.
The market value.
And also, isn't that
But
tax
they don't
free?
base it on the assessor's market value. It has to come through an appraisal.
And I'm 9 times out of 10, that appraisal is going to match.
What the assessor says? Okay.
Because if it doesn't, you know what now the customer can go do? Get that home what? Reassessed.
True.
So
you can do that. off an
either
appraisal.
way,
Yeah.
they're gonna win.
Yeah.
So if I thought my home was worth, and most people need to know this, if I thought my home was worth 150,000 and my taxes went up, and they'll say my home was worth 250, that's 100,000 in equity.
Yeah.
As an owner, it's my job to go to the bank and say, you know what? I want you to do a drive-by assessment because I'm thinking about doing a HELOC.
Mhm.
You may not even want to do the HELOC, but what you want to do is know the face value of that. Most residential appraisals may run you $350, $500. Some of them are free if you got a relationship with the bank. So what you do is you take that information, and let's just say that appraisal comes back 90% right.
Mhm.
Now you got an extra 90,000 that you never would have had in your property. Now you have a leverage. Now you can go and say, you know what? I think I'm gonna pull that out and go buy me a 4-unit because now I got 90,000 in cash.
Mhm.
And you take that 90,000 and you go buy another property. And guess what? It's not even taxed because it's real estate.
Right.
So now they just gave you a free 90 grand.
Yeah, but how many people do that?
Now, how many people do that
Right.
compared to how many people should do
Should do
that?
it,
That's
right.
different. So obviously, unfortunately, everyone chooses their own life. However, the education is there. I just think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to bet on themselves. They're afraid. They have the mindset of, I was talking to a tenant and she told me I would rather rent a home than become a real estate investor.
Oh wow.
And in her mind, she thinks, well, I'm not obligated to pay this mortgage for 30 years. I would rather rent and renew my lease every single year. And I said, you know what? I said, how long have you been in your place? She said, I've been here 9 years. I said, I would love you for a tenant. I said,
True.
because I know I can go buy a condo, put you in it, and you gonna pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
She said, well, no, I wouldn't. Yes, you will, because every time you pay your rent, all I'm doing is taking that money and I'm transferring it over to my mortgage. She's
Mhm.
like, well, that's not fair. Yes, it is. I'm providing you a place to live. You paying me a rent, and I'm paying my mortgage.
Right.
So that now she's like, you know what? I don't want to do that. And I said, well, you've been staying in the same place for almost 10 years. Stay there. She said, well, no, I don't want to keep my landlord rich. I said, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to break things because it's just like, I gave you an example. When people go, okay, I want to make six figures, right? And most people haven't even broke that down. How much is six figures a day? $278. That's all it is.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you look at the long goal, people think six figures is a lot of money. But if you break it down every single day, okay, if I can go out and make $287 every single day, after 365 days, I made 100 grand. So simple math. Let's just say your job pay you $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, $800 a week, right? Minus taxes, you're looking at 600, right? Come up with the difference.
Mhm.
Most people don't even look at it like that. Just come up with the difference. And you do that every single day. Because most people, unfortunately, their job is what? 5 days a week. They get 2 days off. So they're not doing 287 a day. They're doing 287 in 5 days. So that means your part-time or your part-time job or your part-time business, you just equate that for the 7 days. And you're gonna make up for the difference. It's the same thing with renting. I would love for everyone to say, hey, I want to rent from you. I literally bought a house for a tenant to move in because she didn't want to buy a house. I said, are you serious? So she signed a lease with me before I even bought the house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I already had it on the hook. She was like, Brian, I'm gonna rent from. She said, I'll never want to not rent from you. I said, okay, let's do it. Pick the house you want. I said, pick the house you want. I will buy it. And the thing, and this is the sad part about it is, I can't fall up for that because if that's what she wants for her life, so now we're talking about capitalism, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather she rent from me than somebody else. If you're gonna rent any, if you're gonna rent it from me. If I give you all your amenities, if you say, you know what, I want a 3 bedroom, fine. You want a basement, great. Or you want a ranch style, you want a 2 bedroom, you want a three. Well, what all you want? What neighborhood you want? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go in the area. You can check in the MLM, or you can check different different entities, or you can do a real quick farm sale flip to where a lot of people don't know this, how real estate was really started. It wasn't started with banks. It was closed deals and handshakes. So the person will have the note. So the owner of the property will hold the note for the buyer. So you will literally come up with a number. If he had a property, if he had a 4 bedroom, he'll say, well, how much you pay for it? Well, I paid 200. Well, back then it was like 90,000 or 80,000. You will go to them and say, you know what? Give me that for 70,000. Okay, great, 70,000. And then you would say, well, you got a down payment? Yeah, I'll give you 10%. Okay, I'll give you 7,000. They would hold the note plus the interest, and they would pay the person. Banks didn't get into this situation until they found out how much money you could make. So I give you an example. If you was to do a mortgage, if you was to amortize a mortgage and get a mortgage calculator, and if you do a mortgage for 120,000, you amortize that for 30 years. Do you know how much you paying for that 120?
Mhm.
It's cheaper for you to go to the person and do a land deal with them. You would be shocked to know how much you pay on a mortgage. What's the average rate right now? I think it's what, 8-9%? By 8,
Yeah.
9,
I
right?
thought it
Yeah.
went down.
8, almost 8. So if you're doing
Yeah,
8%
about
right
8.
now on 120 and 360, you probably gonna get at bank about $420,000. That's simple math. If you have a mortgage for 120 and you do a 30-year mortgage at 8%, right? And you literally take 30 years to pay it off. That's 360 payments. How much do you think you gave that bank? It's like a card note, right? You do a card note, you go to, you get a card at they the sticker price is 15,000. They give you what, 8%. Well, what's card notes now? About 6 and 8%. If you got good credit, you can do it off your credit card. That's what you can do. You can do zero down and do that. But after you're done with the payment, you paid almost $52,000 for a $15,000 car.
Oh, dang.
Sometimes 3 times. And then the down payment you give doesn't even go towards the value of the car. It goes straight to the person that's selling you the car.
Mhm.
So if you ever looked at a docket sheet of a car, they always block out your down payment.
Mhm.
So if your car is 15,999 and you gave them 3,000, right? 15,999 minus 3, that means your car should be what? 12,999, right? They block that out. And then they keep on letting you know all the fees that you have. So this is what I tell people when they come to cars: start your business and lease your car. Just lease the car in your business name. Typically, they don't do a hard pull. All they ask for you are financials. They don't run your credit. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And you can always just give back the car in 2-3 years. They'll give you a 2-year lease, maybe $700 a month, and you can get a 2 years at 36,000 miles. And every 2 years, you can just get a new car. And now you don't even got to worry about the rigmarole of the maintenance, right? Because the maintenance of the car, just like a maintenance of the house, that's where all your money goes to. So if you own a single family home, and if you don't have any tenants, all that maintenance goes to you. That's why I believe a lot of people are afraid of taxes and assessing properties, because they don't understand the business side of real estate.
Mhm.
They're thinking, I bought this 3-bedroom house for me and my wife and my 2 kids. Oh, the water tank went out. The roof was leaking. This is leaking. That is leaking. Oh, I got the insurance. I can't find insurance for my property because I'm having so many issues. No, what you do, go get you a 4 unit, live in 1, rent out 3. That means 3 people are paying not only your mortgage, your principal, and your lifestyle.
But some people want a house.
Listen, let me tell you something. Some people want a Lamborghini. That don't mean they can afford it.
If you had,
Mhm.
if you were in a house, you were
I was in a-
married, and you had 3 small children,
Mhm.
would you prefer an apartment where people could complain, or
Uh-huh.
would you prefer, if you had the option of a building or a home, you're in your mid-30s,
Mid-30s.
what would you go for?
I'm gonna tell you like this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And shout out to all my Hispanic culture. They understand the power of a team. Number one, as a man, I would never marry a woman that did not understand my vision. Because what I'm gonna tell her is like, listen, we're gonna sacrifice for 3-4 years. We're gonna sacrifice for 3 years for what we don't want to do, but year 5, you're gonna be where you want to be. Now you get some men and women that's like, no, I don't want that. We not doing. You know what? We not doing that, but I'm doing that. Go back and move with your mama. But this is what we doing, and I get it. It's just like, when we was in college, right? I didn't have a car in college because I wanted to sacrifice. I could have got a car my freshman year, but why struggle? I was telling my daughter today. I said, listen, everyone want a car, but don't nobody want to pay gas.
Or
I,
no?
I said, do you realize the maintenance on these vehicles?
Mhm.
So what people want to don't understand, if I'm 30 and I bought a 4 unit, that means I can be financially free before I'm 35.
Mhm.
Because if I have 4 people paying a mortgage, that means that building is going to be paid off in 5 years. That means I got now an asset that I can pull the money out of, right? Let's just say I bought it for 200. In 5 years, it's probably gonna be worth 350. Now I can go pull out $289,000 and I can say, babe, go shopping. Our tenants just paid for this. As a matter of fact, they're gonna pay for the mortgage again. Or I'm gonna say, you right, honey. Let's go get this 3-bedroom over in Salt Trail. Even though no one is paying